You've probably noticed it about yourself by now. When everyone else is reaching out, asking questions, leaning on friends, posting their struggles online for support, you go quiet, you retreat, you figure it out alone. And somewhere in the back of your mind you wonder if something's wrong with you, if you're too too stubborn, too damaged to need people the way everyone else seems to. But what if I told you that your refusal to ask for help isn't a character flaw at all? What if it's a specific psychological pattern, hardwired into your brain by experiences you might not even remember? And what if the very thing you've been taught to feel ashamed of is actually protecting something deeper inside you? This is the psychology of people who never ask for help. Let's start with what's happening in your brain when you're struggling but won't reach out. In 2019, researchers at Stanford University conducted a series of studies on help-seeking behavior. They found something fascinating. When most people encounter a problem they can't solve, their brain's anterior cingulate cortex lights up. This is the part of your brain that detects conflict between what you want and what you have. It's uncomfortable, so the brain does what it's designed to do. It seeks relief. For most people, that relief comes from social connection, from asking for help. But in people who chronically avoid asking for help, something different happens. The same region activates, but instead of reaching outward, the brain doubles down inward. It reroutes through the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for problem-solving, planning, and self-reliance. You're not avoiding discomfort, you're just processing it differently. Here's where it gets interesting. The study found that this pattern isn't random. It's learned, and it usually starts early. Think back to the first time you asked for help and it didn't come. Maybe you were a child and the adults around you were too busy, too overwhelmed, or too inconsistent. Maybe you learned that asking made you a burden. Or maybe, and this is more common than you think, you asked and someone did help you, but they held it over you. They reminded you. They made you feel small for needing them. Your brain is incredibly efficient. It doesn't waste energy on strategies that don't work. So if asking for help led to rejection, shame, or unpredictability, your brain quietly filed that behavior under unsafe. Not consciously. You didn't sit down and decide to become self-reliant. Your nervous system decided for you. This is what psychologists call learned self-sufficiency, and it's not the same as confidence. Confidence says, I can do this. Confidence says, I can do this. Learned self-sufficiency says, I have to do this, because no one else will. There's a difference, and your body knows it. Now let's talk about what happens when you do try to ask for help, even as an adult. Maybe you've been there. You're struggling. You know logically that reaching out would make sense. But when you go to type the message or open your mouth to say the words, something stops you. Your chest tightens. Your throat closes. You feel exposed. Exposed. This isn't weakness. This is your amygdala doing its job. The amygdala is your brain's threat detection system. And for you, vulnerability has been coded as a threat, because at some point, it was. When you were young and your needs weren't met consistently, your brain learned that showing need equals danger. Danger of disappointment. Danger of rejection. Danger of losing the little control you had. So now, even when you're safe, even when the people around you are trustworthy, your brain still sounds the alarm. It floods your system with cortisol. It pulls you back. It whispers, don't, you'll regret it. And you listen, because listening kept you safe before. But here's what most people don't understand about you. Your refusal to ask for help isn't about pride. It's about protection. You're not trying to prove you're better than everyone else. You're trying to prove you're enough for yourself. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that you might be all you have. And that's not arrogance. That's not arrogance. That's survival. In fact, a 2016 study from the University of Michigan found that people who struggle to ask for help often score higher on measures of self-efficacy and internal locus of control. In plain terms, You believe you have the power to change your circumstances. You don't wait for rescue. You don't outsource your problems. You take responsibility sometimes to an exhausting degree because you've learned the world doesn't always show up for you. That's not a flaw, that's a skill. A painful one, but a skill nonetheless. Let's go deeper. There's another layer most people miss. When you don't ask for help, you're also protecting your identity. Human beings are wired for belonging. We need to know where we stand in the tribe. Tate. And for you, your value has always come from being the one who doesn't need. The strong one, the capable one, the one people lean on, not the one who leans. So if you ask for help, who are you? PIFA. This is what psychologists call identity threat. Your sense of self is so tightly wrapped around independence that needing someone else feels like losing yourself. It's not that you don't want support, it's that accepting it would shatter the image that kept you safe. And here's the cruel irony. The more you refuse help, the stronger people think you are. So they stop offering, do. They assume you're fine. They don't realize your silence isn't peace. It's a pattern. You've become so good at looking okay that no one thinks to check if you actually are. Now let's talk about what this does to your relationships. When you never ask for help, you create an invisible imbalance. You give, but don't receive. You listen, but don't share. You show up for others, but when your own world is falling apart, you disappear. And people notice. They start to wonder if you trust them, if they matter to you. Because relationships aren't built on strength. They're built on recklessity, on mutual vulnerability. When you refuse to let people in, you're not protecting the relationship, you're starving it. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people who never ask for help are often seen as less warm, less trustworthy, and more emotionally distant, even when they're actively helping others. Because connection isn't just about what you give, it's about what you're willing to receive. But let's reframe this. Because the same wiring that makes connection hard also makes you incredibly resilient. You know how to sit with discomfort. You know how to think your way through problems most people would panic over. You adapt. That's rare. And it's valuable. The problem isn't that you're self-reliant. The problem is that you're only self-reliant. You've lost access to one of the most powerful human resources, each other. So what do you do with this? Each other. First, stop treating your need for help as a moral failure. It's not. It's biology. Second, start small. Ask for something minor. Let your nervous system learn that asking doesn't always end in disaster. Because right now, your brain is working with old data. Third, notice the people who offer help without you asking. Those are your people. And finally, understand this. Asking for help isn't admitting defeat. It's admitting you're human. And humans were never meant to carry everything alone. You survive by doing it alone, but you don't have to live that way forever. You're not there anymore. You're here. And here, you have a choice. People don't love you because you're strong. They love you because you're you. And the parts of you that are tired, scared, and sometimes need help, those parts are just as worthy of care. If this resonated with you, there's another pattern you might recognize. The people who feel everything deeply but show nothing. I'll break that psychology down next. Until then, take care of yourself. Even if that means letting someone else take care of you just once.